Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2020 Land Rover Defender 110X. Now this replaces the original Defender that was made between 1983 and 2016. Production of this began in 2019, with customers receiving the 5-door 110 like this in early 2020. Now, unlike the original Defender, this has an aluminium unibody, as opposed to the original Defender having a body on frame construction. This also has 8.6 inches of ground clearance, permanent all-wheel drive, locking diffs centre and rear, a 2-speed transfer case, an 8-speed automatic gearbox and air suspension. And this X version has 20-inch wheels, painted brake calipers, black bonnet and roof, an active rear differential and a raised air intake on the left hand side there. So yeah, I'm overall impressed by this new Defender. I figured with them going in a more luxurious and upmarket approach, it would lose its more rugged off-road appeal, but it really hasn't. It still looks like a car that could just go anywhere and do anything, even though the ground clearance is a lot less than I would have expected, especially in comparison to, say, the Ford Bronco, but we'll get on that comparison soon. But yeah, interior wise this is excellent. It's a good mix of leather, wood, metal and general normal kind of plastics. So yeah, I really do like the look of it. I like the wood on the centre console here, and then the wood on the handles on the doors. It's just a really nice place to be, as per usual with Land Rover or Range Rover vehicles. So yeah, looks pretty good inside. It's got plenty of space in the rear as well, as you can see. Again, nice wood, metal, leather. Anything else that you could really say about it is yeah, nothing really bad as far as I'm concerned. Really nice interior, as we've seen from plenty of more modern Range Rover or Land Rovers. So yeah, and it's got plenty of space in the rear, as you can see. Huge amount of boot space there. Got the little parcel shelf there, but then you can put plenty underneath or take the parcel shelf out and have even taller things in there. So yeah, and it's nice to have the opening rear door on that as well. And yeah, but in comparison to, say, the Ford Bronco, this does not have quite the same ground clearance. Neither does it have the same big chunky tyres. Yeah, those tyres are quite chunky, but they're not way near as thick as the likes of the Ford Bronco. And yeah, like I said, the ground clearance on the Ford Bronco was 11.6 inches, so it's 3 inches taller than this is. But this has a raised air intake, so it's going to be able to go through water a lot better than the Ford Bronco. And this has the option of being a 5-door, whereas the Bronco only has the option of, I think, being a 3-door. But you can get the 3-door 90 of the Defender, which is obviously shorter in terms of wheelbase. It's 17.1 inches smaller, which obviously therefore makes it a lot lighter. And you can have the same engine options as this, but this version has the really rather nice but unusual 3-litre turbocharged inline-6 engine, producing 395 horsepower and 406 pounds-feet of torque. But you can get a great big whopping V8 in this, which has 518 horsepower, or you can go for a hybrid version that has slightly more in terms of horsepower and a lot more in the way of torque. So yeah, I'm impressed by this overall. It's also nailed the aesthetic in terms of old and new, just like the Ford Bronco did. And yeah, it's also got a really nice interior. But to see what this is really like, we're going to go onto the free roam map and see what it can do in terms of off-road capability. Right, so we're at the off-road part of the free roam map that I like to use for these reviews of off-road vehicles. So yeah, let's get out there and see what this car can do. So what if one of our fellow Land Rovers didn't hit us? But yeah, still, I am surprised by the engine choice in this car. Inline-6 versions of engines, or inline-6 engines generally, are not all that commonplace in off-road vehicles, so I am a bit surprised, especially since Land Rover is owned by Jaguar, and Jaguar does really rather nice V6 engines, so I would have thought they'd have gone for the more compact V6, to be honest. But still, at least it makes it a bit more unique. And yeah, if it did have a V6 engine, it would be even more comparable to the Ford Bronco, which also has a V6 engine. But yeah, this inline-6 engine is yeah, not quite as turbocharger heavy as the Ford Bronco, and it is obviously slightly larger in terms of cubic capacity. But yeah, it still sounds pretty good, and it revs quite high as well, as you can see, nearly 7,000 RPM, which is pretty damn nice. And yeah, with all that extra power and that extra bit of torque, this is actually quicker than the Ford Bronco in terms of acceleration. 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds, and 0 to 115.6 seconds at a top speed of 150 miles an hour. Now that's 14 miles an hour faster than the Ford Bronco, and yeah, also 3 seconds quicker to 100 and 0.8 of a second quicker to 60. So yeah, definitely a more potent car in terms of performance, even though on the whole I don't feel that this feels as quick as it is in comparison to the Bronco, primarily probably because the Bronco does flash through its 10-speed gearbox fairly quickly. It's up to 7th gear in by about 105, 110 miles an hour, so that feels a little bit more you know, like a rally car in some regards, just in terms of how quickly it goes through its gears, whereas this is a little bit more ordinary in that regard. Yeah, it has longer gears, it feels a little bit more slouchy, a little bit more everyday, whereas the Bronco does generally feel like an off-road car you can fly around pretty much anywhere in. But that's just, you know, a different kind of approach. This even weighs a lot more than the Ford Bronco at 5,260 pounds, whereas the Ford Bronco weighs about 450 pounds less than this. But I imagine if you are so concerned about performance and weight, then you can go for the 90, which yeah, does weigh significantly less and is about the same size as the Bronco. So yeah, overall I am reasonably impressed by this. It's not got the most amount of off-road capability, like I said. It is a fair few inches lower down than the Bronco, but you know, you got locking diffs on this, you've got a transfer case, you've got air suspension, which no doubt can probably be raised up maybe. That has been the case for previous Land Rover or Range Rovers, so that would not surprise me at all. But yeah, still overall a really good car and a really good off-road vehicle as well. I feel like Land Rover probably had a hell of a lot of weight on their shoulders to come up with this after the huge and lengthy success of the older Defender. It was around, you know, for 30 odd years, so yeah, for them to come out with this and done as well as they have, yeah, I am impressed by that. But yeah, there are some elements that I would have liked to have been better. Maybe in terms of options, would have liked the V8 option on this game, but then again, that's something you could choose in real life. I'm sure that is a great car, but I would also have preferred the 90, or at least had the option of the 90, because yeah, that's a that feels like a more utilitarian, more off-road based kind of vehicle, whereas this 110 feels a more luxury based version with its, you know, 5 doors, it's more interior space and generally more weight. So yeah, but again, it's all about what you want. If you want the luxury version, then go for this. If you want the more utilitarian version, then go for the 90. If you want the performance version, then go for the big V8. But overall, I think this version does strike a really good balance between performance, off-road capability and usability. Yeah, at the end of the day, you've got a near 400 horsepower off-roader that pretty much can go anywhere and do anything that you want. So yeah, that's not a bad deal at all at the end of the day. So yeah, really glad that this has been put on the game. We've not had any new Land Rover or Range Rover vehicles for a long time on Forza series. So yeah, well, we did have the Velar, but that at the end of the day just felt like a lower end version of a Range Rover Sport, or you know, a fully fledged Range Rover. So yeah, but on the whole, really impressed by this car, and I hope it's as good as it is on the game as it is in real life, because yeah, I have heard of some reliability issues with this vehicle, but on the whole, we have had, you know, 2 smaller, more, you know, performance orientated off-roaders than we've had in recent times with this and the Ford Bronco. So yeah, we've got more choice than ever, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this vehicle if you've tried it already, and if you haven't, then I do highly recommend doing so. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.